Massive update for the Ripple and XRP community, as XRP is about to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange and the Nasdaq. Today, we're going to show our listeners several updates, not only from the Federal Reserve, but from United States regulators like the SEC and the CFTC, showing just how quickly the American markets could unlock capital, leading to trillions of dollars in inflows heading into many of our favorite crypto projects. You've heard $10 XRP. Today, we are talking $35 XRP, and we're going to get started with this Zach Rector and Paul Barron video highlighting just how quickly this journey can take place. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Good Evening Crypto, your favorite crypto news related channel. And Johnny, we're starting off with this video right here, $35 XRP. How do we get there?
Well, in the liquidity cycles, we talk about this on the show quite a bit, is that these are real. Most of the money managers that I talk to right now, they think that 26 is still a potential bullish year, even though they are concerned about what's going to happen around midterms, which is about this time next year, as we start to play into that. So if you're looking at blow off tops, and we do see double-digit XRP, and let's say that we do see the trends on both ETF, the market structure bill getting through, and then major announcements kind of going in this. And of course, the final blow will be the Ripple banking license. All of that played into this. Yeah, you could see Ripple anywhere upwards of $50 and above. Many people would point to near $100. But even on a 50% market correction, that would be, let's assume that you're back at, say, 75 in the middle. We'll pick the middle slot. That's still, a $37 XRP. Quite a difference than a $3 XRP, which is where the market has been holding.
And Johnny, this is why we've always advocated for realistic expectations. But let me just outline what Paul Barron broke down very simply. If they're anticipating XRP to be anywhere between $50 and $100, they pick the middle $75. Even during a bear market, if this asset were to regress 50% in price, we are still looking at a $37 XRP. That is more than 12x from where we are today. So if you think you're early, congratulations, you're correct. If you think you're late, hopefully we just showed you why you're not. If you enjoy this content, guys, smash that like button and leave some of your thoughts in chat. But Johnny, this is only building off the back of the news of all of the different catalysts that we've highlighted. The Clarity Act, ETFs, mass adoption, and of course, the liquidity cycle that Paul Barron just highlighted. Well, we got this massive news out of the SEC and CFTC yesterday, allowing crypto spot trading inside the United States. And Nate Garassi, an ETF president, commented, "What's my main takeaway here? Crypto trading is going mainstream. We will be the world's largest venue. Think New York Stock Exchange, think the Nasdaq. The next stop after that, every major traditional broker. I know they're paying attention right now." And this is the prediction we've said for a long time. Companies like BlackRock that have remained on the sidelines, there are much bigger things at play than just an ETF. And we are talking about the tokenization of real world assets and U.S. government collaborations. But Johnny Krypto, what's your reaction to what Paul Barron had to say?
First of all, if BlackRock wants to sit on the sideline, they can sit on the sideline. The reality is this is coming. Kevin O'Leary, and we've heard it many times, we put it on the show, has said that crypto will be the 12th sector of the economy. Abs. He wasn't kidding. And we've always said, what is it going to take for this to be real? Well, A, you need some adoption. B, you need the ETFs. That brings credibility. But there's nothing more credible than if you can just go to your local, you just go and you log into your exchange, and you may use E-Trade or Charles Schwab or Fidelity, and all of a sudden crypto's there. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. I thought that thing was a scam. Why is it on my E-Trade account? Why is it on my Charles Schwab? Why is it on Fidelity? It must be real. And then the next thing you know, flag. And because another thing that drives liquidity into is easy access. Right now, it's hard to buy crypto. It's a pain in the ass. You got to go to the exchange. You got to send money. You got to do a wallet. You got to link your thing. It's a pain. And most people are fearful of wallets and all that. Abs, when it's as simple as logging into your E-Trade account or your Charles Schwab account and hitting the buy button, that's what makes adoption happen. Simplicity. We're talking two different things. This is adoption, for retailers to come in and buy this thing easily and cheap. Right? I'm not cheap, but I meant easily. And that'll drive the price up. Then there's the whole element of the Clarity Bill that provides, institutions no longer being afraid to invest in this, that allows companies to adopt the technology and actually leverage and use it and add more value to the underlying blockchain to drive the thing up. So you can see in your mind, you have to understand there are multiple channels of liquidity influxes that are going to come into these crypto plays. But the reality is, that's why I'm so excited. And Paul Barron's not wrong. There are going to be multiple liquidity events that are going to drive this thing up. You're going to have institutions. You're going to have governments. Then the last, unfortunately, is going to be retailers, and they're going to get, some will make a lot of money when it first comes on and you get in early. If you wait and you hold out later, Abs, you're probably going to be more like an exit liquidity rather than a moon run.
And more importantly, guys, the entire reason we're having this discussion is because Paul Barron said we're looking at an asset that should be worth anywhere between $50 and $100. And Johnny, although you didn't address it, I think what you addressed is the larger point. This economy is going into an onboarding process where companies all across the country, and I repeat them very often, Apple, Amazon, Meta, all of these different major pillars of the American economy are going to be launching digital wallets after the Clarity Act is passed. And this isn't my opinion. This is the opinion of Charles Hodgkinson and a sitting U.S. Senator. Here it is.
We passed the Clarity Act in the House before we left for August. We showed overwhelming bipartisan support. Why? Because we know we need the United States to be the leader in Web3 technology, and that means we need a regulatory framework for digital assets here in the United States. This is possibly the most important piece of legislation that the Senate's going to pass in a bipartisan manner later this year. I'd love to see the Senate bring up the Clarity Act again, as passed by the House with overwhelming support. And if they do that, I think what we have an opportunity to do is cement the U.S. as the global leader in the digital assets space.
There you have it, Johnny. That's been the entire goal of the Trump administration. And so we have to ask the question, which assets are going to benefit off of this American innovation? It's going to be the largest United States blockchains. And we're starting to see some of these partnerships already come to fruition. We've got Chainlink, we've got Ondo, we've got HBAR, and of course there's XRP that's a part of this mix. Now there's dozens of others, but when I think about the pillars that are leading the way, the trailblazers of the industry, it is those 5 companies right there. And during the entire Biden administration, it was those projects that were suppressed. And it was those projects that were prevented from having the price momentum that we're seeing today. Now, Bitcoin's up 84% on the year. Ethereum is 50% 12-month trailing return. That's a very high return. That's a great return. Look at what a project like XRP has done during that same time. Nearly 10x the return of Ethereum and nearly 5x the return for Bitcoin. I think we're only going to see charts trending more and more that direction, especially after the inflows that you just discussed are turned on. The retail investors using these products through digital wallets on regular apps. We're going to have ETFs. We're going to have companies starting treasuries. And of course, we're going to have the United States government tokenizing the US dollar as well as bonds, minting that US dollar stablecoin on blockchains. And those blockchains are Ethereum, Solana, XRP, HBAR, Stellar, the pillars of this digital economy that's developing right before our very eyes, guys. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button and subscribe to this channel, as you're going to get an update every single day, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. But Johnny, the reality is this is the moment we've been waiting for since 2021. The onboarding of real world companies into our favorite blockchain products. And I got to bring it back to that statement out of Nate Garassi. Not only did the SEC and CFTC make a joint statement, both commissioners coming together at the same time to make this major announcement, but he gave a shout out to the Nasdaq and he gave a shout out to the New York Stock Exchange, because these products are going to be the main beneficiaries of having that availability and that easy access that you would just referenced. What are some of your thoughts here?
Well, Abs, first of all, see, this all starts at the top. I've been telling you this for years. It wasn't Gary Gensler that was the problem. It's not Paul Atkins that's the problem. It's at the top. It's what, listen, when you get voted as president, you kind of get to dictate policy. And we know that the prior administration was anti-crypto because the lobbyists were in their pockets. We know that Trump is very pro-crypto. And so now we're seeing everything move in those ways. Now, I'll say it again. The key, I think, for all of this money and everything that everybody's excited for, some of it's going to come in now. It's trickling in. But the linchpin to make this all happen will be the Clarity Act, in my opinion. I've been very consistent in saying, in 96, it was the telecom bill that kind of was the linchpin to allow all the money to come in 97. And I think in 2025, we get this Clarity Act. That's then going to be the linchpin to allow a shit ton of money to come in probably in early 2026. And then we start to see a bull run like we've never seen. Like I've seen it. You haven't, because you were in diapers in 97. But it's going to be like a bull run like we've never seen before. Very similar to that again. Now, when you talk about the predictions that that Zach and Paul Barron were talking about, $75 XRP, halfway cut, then half is 37. I mean, all those numbers are going to be possible if what I'm saying comes to fruition. We get the Clarity Act, we get the ETF, we get the Fed cutting rates. I mean, it's going to drive prices up dramatically. Now, where is it going to be? I'm not into the price prediction business. It's hard to predict because you don't know where these are going to go because we don't know how much money is going to come in. But the reality is, double digits, probably very likely. Triple digits, maybe. But doesn't matter, Abs. If we're talking double digits, we're still excited. And this whole thing of this concept, well, we're going to get a pullback of 50-60%. Well, maybe. It happened in 97, but it took 3 years. So everybody's expecting a 3-run, 6-month bull run, and then bang, 4-year bear market. I'm not so sure we get that. We may get a 2 to 3 year of money flooding and coming in. Now, there'll be pullbacks on the way up, Abs, but I think it could be a very different cycle. And I think that's something we need to be aware of. But even if we are sitting there and shop it at 50 cents, we're looking at a $37 XRP. Tell me that ain't life-changing for almost every single one of our viewers who are watching this video right now, and you and me.
Here's what I would say, though. When we look at products like the RLUSD stablecoin, these are built for institutions. And you highlighted a $37 XRP. What I think Paul Barron was more using an example out of was the 4-year cycle, not the 1997 20-year once-in-a-lifetime thing. He's talking about the narrative that's been applied to crypto thus far, which is that we get a 1-year bear market and 3 years of bullish momentum. And this market turned bullish starting in the spring of 2023. You go and look at the data. That is where Bitcoin and the majority of these digital assets bottomed out. I believe that the top is not in yet, but we are about to enter that massive euphoric moment. And if you agree, listeners, smash that like button. Now, the title of today's episode was XRP is added to the New York or the Nasdaq. Now, here's the evidence. Every single spot ETF filing that I am about to read for you will be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Franklin Templeton, Bitwise, Wisdom Tree, Grayscale, and nearly 7 others. Now, that's just on the New York Stock Exchange. When we look at the Nasdaq, well, XRP is currently available on the Nasdaq today. It was added to the Nasdaq Crypto U.S. Settlement Price Index in June of 2025, which is one important step towards an ETF inclusion, but that will take an approval from the SEC before it is implemented officially on the New York Stock Exchange. These are the changes that we've been predicting, Johnny. And I think when this availability is easy access, like you've been talking about, this is when the XRP price chart, it's a make or break moment. We're going to be talking about $10, $20, $50 XRP, or we're going to be having the conversation, how are all these positive things happening, yet this asset is still trading below $5? I would love to hear, what is your peak price projection for XRP? Leave it underneath the video, Johnny. Floor is yours.
Yeah, so, I think one of the things when you think about that when you talk about easy access and everybody coming in, to me, that's a time when you need to be cautious and start looking at where max euphoria is going to be. Because remember, the elites are going to be in. The institutional friends are going to be in. And now they're going to be sounding the horns. CNN, MSNBC, Fox, everybody and your mother is going to be talking about crypto like you ain't never heard crypto. Crypto is going to be the best thing since sliced bread, Abs. That's what you're going to hear over and over. I'm telling you, it's going to be like, it's going to go from this was a scam to this is a safe haven. You need to be in it. You're missing out if you don't. This is a must have in your portfolio, blah, 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 blah. And this thing's just going to, and that's going to drive the euphoric moment up. And then look for that moment. That's when you're going to start to see, a lot of the elites are going to be exiting. You won't know it, but the elites will be exiting once you start hearing your great grandmother or your local hairdresser or town clerk or a store clerk talking, hey man, you get that crypto, I'm into this crypto, I'm in that. That's those signs to be like, okay, I got to start taking some profits here. I got to start taking some off the table because Abs, remember, stock market, crypto market, it's a zero-sum game. Means all the money that's in, the same amount comes out. It's just who takes it out first. Don't forget that, folks. It's not going to go up forever. It's who takes it out first. Make sure you're the first and not the last.
I agree with that, Johnny. And we learned this lesson back in 2021 when we didn't take enough profit during the initial bull run. You hear a lot of stories about people who become millionaires in crypto. They won't tell you the stories about people who missed out on the opportunity. That's why we're always advocating for creating a profit plan, guys. Click on the link below this video and sign up for Merlin today. 30 days completely free. You're going to get access to the best crypto product, I believe, that's on the App Store today. Now, Johnny Crypto, To close it out for today's episode, I think our listeners should keep one thing in mind. XRP, Solana, HBAR, all the assets that we talk about fairly consistently, we are about to have our make or break moment. And it is the month of October when all of this kicks off, starting in 2025. Whether you've been waiting for a $10 XRP, $100 XRP, or $1,000 XRP by the end of 2025, the moment has arrived. It is September 3rd, 2025 today, only 90 days left in this calendar year. It's make or break for the crypto market, and I cannot wait to see what happens for the XRP community. If you guys enjoyed this content, smash that like button, and we'll see you all in the next one.